Hey everybody, my name is Angie Morenga. You're watching Just Angie. This is the Ustawi segment. We started a conversation with Teresa of Clean Start on rethinking the bars, and I want to continue this conversation in the final segment. Excuse me. So Teresa, one of the things I saw is women in conflict with the law have special status or protection within the UN human rights system. That shocked me because we don't even look like there's anything that there are any rights or any laws. That's one. And the report was to identify the issues that are cross-cutting, across the law. But I found women are more vulnerable than other people. Yes. I think because there's violence against them, and they can also be sexual. They can be raped. They can be abused sexually. Yeah. So there's a lot that's taking place. Yeah. Another thing is, because I want you to weigh into all these things, but the other thing I also saw is the way we treat them. Because it's like when you're in conflict with the law, it's like you lose all your rights, which is not true. Whether or not you're in conflict with the law, and that's something that we need now to talk. There's an education that needs to happen, even for our police officers, because it's like when you're in conflict with the law, it's like you're the lowest dreg of possible of society and humanity. But that's not true. You're still a human being, and we want to correct and reform you. We don't have to discriminate against you. We don't have to treat you like you're just the worst thing that ever happened. There's a part I read how the women are made to strip before they enter prison, and they have to do it in front of everyone, whether they are men there or women who are not there. That shocked me a bit. I mean, there's a way that it's too much, It's too much. We've gone over the top. I find it. But the other thing I found as I read the report is that many people don't even understand the language. So even when they're taken to court, the women don't know what they have been charged with. They have no idea, or actually this happened, but the interpretation by the prosecutor is different from what actually happened. So I don't know how we're going to overcome all those problems. And I want you to weigh in on probation. Because there's a statement that was made here that there are more police officers than there are probation officers. Yet, East Africa, in the whole of East Africa, Kenya has the best infrastructure for probation.
Indeed. And I feel our pain point, even as you describe what you've read through this report, 80% of these women have no legal representation.
Yes, I was shocked to see that free legal aid is only given to sexual offenders, and to capital offenses, and any child that is in conflict with the law. And that's it. And that leaves everybody else out.
So if I was loitering, hoping that I would find some work on that particular day, and I'm arrested because apparently it's a crime, I cannot even afford legal representation. And I do not understand the legal jargon. So that's how they easily, in huge numbers, end up going behind bars. And that's why we've titled this report as Rethinking These Bars that we're putting on these very vulnerable people who we're taking into prisons. And on the issue of probation, because this is precisely where the problem lies.
Okay.
We've got more police officers. We've got more prison wardens to
probation officers.
So even the way the system is structured,
it's set up to imprison you and take you to prison, not to give you probation or alternative sentences.
It's already favoring a custodial sentence as opposed to an uncustodial one. Because all the resources are heavy and geared towards taking you to prison, as you say. But this is the funny point, Apostle Angie. While we've invested so heavily in arresting the poor, in ensuring that we prosecute you and convict you, there are two areas we're not investing in. Pre-arresting you, so when it comes to the social economic empowerment, we're not there. Then once you're convicted and you've got into prison, when it comes to the budget, we're also not there.
Can you imagine? You've imprisoned me, the prisons are over-congested, I hear by 80%, and you still don't have a budget for me. So on top of that, I have to provide for myself as I'm in custody of the government. Isn't that crazy?
It doesn't make sense. Why not take some of this budget that you're heavily investing in through the magistrates, through the judiciary, through the police, and, put it into the social economic empowerment of these people who are loitering without any jobs. They are the youth, Apostle Angie. Yeah. 69% of the imprisoned are between 20 and 30 years. That's our youth. That's a reflection of who we are in this society.
That is definitely
And then take some bit of it and make sure that those who must go to prison, who have committed capital offenses, then are rehabilitated. But when you give a prison officer a population that's above what they should be handling by over 122% of the capacity, we're not even investing in the infrastructure, in the programs, in the reintegration, and this is where probation again is left behind. When you leave prison, you should then come into the hands of probation and aftercare. There is no aftercare in this country. There is no single Safeway house in this country. So Apostle Angie, if I was in prison, Alangata Women Maximum Prison, because it's a maximum security prison, but I came from Lodwa, where is my bus fare to go back to Lodwa?
None.
When I arrive in Lodwa, however it is I will arrive there,
what happens to
where do I start? And that's why we had, begun intervention programs, for example, where we invite you and you've come, and we've got several times to receive these ladies when they're being released from prison.
But you can't do that for everyone.
You can't do that for everybody. It's not Apostle Angie. And that's where aftercare and a probation comes in, but they're not resourced. So we put these women in even worse situations than when she was even loitering.
And she was already poor. She was already poor and she was looking for her daily bread. Exactly. Now it's even 100 times worse now.
Precisely. And as you stated, Apostle Angie, the UN, there's what we call the Bangkok rules. These are rules that have been developed and they have been provided for on how to handle women. Because let's be honest, a woman is very different from a man in even their needs. But what you'll find that because we've not invested in the infrastructure in our criminal justice system, when you're arrested as a woman, even the infrastructure from the police cell, there's no police cell.
That you can be put in the same cells.
Precisely.
Both men and women.
Yes.
Isn't that crazy?
And then when you get into prison, the admission process, where you're stripped Apostle
naked
Angie,
in front of everyone.
I'm telling you, there's dignity.
That's too dehumanizing.
And here I was, I couldn't take care of my children because I don't have a job. And here I am, pushed into a prison, stripped naked. How far can we go to push these people further? And then the conditions we're going to put them in, the UN Bangkok rules, provide for how these women are to be provided for while in prison. But the food is not enough.
There's no water.
Woe unto you if the woman comes with their child behind bars and there's no budget.
There's no budget even for that child.
For this child. But as I said, 90% of these women are the sole breadwinners. So even if she didn't come with her children,
they're out there
by themselves. We really need to rethink the bars. We really need to rethink how we access and administer justice for the petty offenders. And the law provides for alternatives. It's not like Clean Start is coming up with something.
Yeah.
It's provided for, whether it's the UN Bangkok rules, whether it's the law, it provides for this. So to the judges, to the magistrates, to the duty bearers, to the right holders, let us do what is called of us to do when these women come our way. I started by saying the solution to social economic issues is not arresting, prosecuting, convicting the poor. That's not a solution. It's not a solution, Apostle Angie. The cry is too much. And
it's too much.
Kenya,
I feel it's too much.
Kenya really needs to pride itself in the fact that formerly imprisoned women in this country have pushed themselves from the pits of pits to a point where they can come up with the evidence.
Yeah, this is the evidence. The evidence is here. The research is here.
Honestly, the right holders and the duty bearers, I think each and every one of them needs to lay hand on this report and hear their voices. They've come out of prison. They've pushed themselves beyond all the insurmountable challenges. And they're saying, here is the evidence of what we've been through, of what can be done differently. Because it can be done. So that we have
a different experience. And then I was thinking, you know, sometimes, that's why sometimes we say like the West, you know, like let's say we asked now a spiritual perspective, who prays more, Kenya or Africa or the West? It's us. But you know what the West does? They have justice. Because you see now their prisons, some of them look like hotel rooms. You know, if we are talking, it's amazing, you know. It's just that your freedom has been taken away. But you have a shower, you have food, you have clothing, you have times to exercise. There's just a lot of, you can educate yourself, although here as well, at least we are allowing people to study. I met a few men from committee who have been able to study and to educate themselves. But it's because there's equity and there's justice. You can actually reform a prisoner who you give dignity to. But in Africa, we have refused to give even dignity. Yes, I made a mistake. Everybody makes mistakes every day. Some have not been caught out for their mistakes. Some can pay money and never be in prison, maybe prosecuted for their mistakes. But we make mistakes every day. But I feel like we're punishing this group of people called prisoners. It's too much. And I know maybe it's not even here, but also for the men, because you know, I think these are women and petty offenses. And you know, when we come to Langata, to everywhere, people, it's clean. Me, the men, I fear to go. I fear to go. Honestly, I fear to go because I can just imagine. I felt the word was that's a hellhole. It's like you've thrown people into a hell when they are still here. And really, that's not the way we should be treating our own. That's not how we should be treating the weakest in our society.
Indeed.
And also, there's a place of reformation. When is it enough that we have, when are we looking, if we're really doing reformation, why aren't we looking at, so how is this person reformed? How are they doing better? Now let's release them.
Indeed, that's a very good question. And just to go back a little bit to when you said abroad there is justice.
Justice.
I remembered a pain point I had in getting into a flight to go to a foreign country to benchmark and learn how they're running their prisons to a point where they're closing some. These are people who are taking care of their own. That I have to go there
and study.
Why can't we take care of our own? Especially when we're using laws that weren't our laws. We inherited them.
These are colonial laws.
From the very same people we're going to benchmark who no longer have bostels that we are now investing in here. You know, there's some things we really need to shed off because they don't relate to our culture and to us as a people. And to be proud of brother, sister, and take care of our own like they are. It's really a pain point going into another country to benchmark and see how they're taking care of their weakest, where they've got tech, very high level tech programs. My goodness, I can't even fathom that in our own prisons, let alone just the basics of water, food, and making sure that the poor are not the ones ending up in prison. Apostle Angie, you know, it's such a pain point. And it's my sincere hope that when we have these key stakeholders meetings and conversations, that we will deeply look into these matters and to these issues. And I want to say and give credit because our Chief Justice, Honorable Lady Justice Martha Koome, you know, she's been very progressive, bringing the small courts that deal with some of these cases quickly. You know, and she's ensured that cases don't take 3-4 years before they are concluded. That's impressive.
That's very impressive.
I also must say, for the very first time in history, Apostle Angie, we have the Kenya Prisons Childcare Policy.
Yes, that was amazing. That was launched the other day.
That we have just launched. So I get there are a number of issues here and there and big issues that we need to deal with. However, there are some strides that are being made. But let's lean in further and really make, for example, that policy that we've just launched. I know there's just so much more that we need to feed into that policy, bringing in the scientific angle, you know, to speak into it, difference between education, health, development, and just so much. But at least it's a beginning, you know, and these kinds of reports are a beginning. But let's feel the criminal justice system actors leaning in to meet us halfway when it comes to the implementation of the recommendations. That Kenya Prisons Childcare, which is the first in the history of Kenya, a child will now be recognized fully as an individual in their own right as a child
who is
from
in prison
birth
with their parent.
So they can no longer be trafficked easily. They can no longer be, you know, they will be...
Because there's no even evidence of their birth.
Exactly. They'll get birth certificates, you know. They'll have, you know, when you look at a file of a mother who's imprisoned, there will be a legal document showing that there is a child accompanying this mother. So there's some strides that are being made, which is incredible within the system, and that we're very happy about. But we really need to put in so much more concerted effort from all angles. The corporate sector, they need to lean in.
I believe the corporate sector needs to lean in. The corporate sector, I really agree with you, needs to lean in, needs to do more. They need to put in infrastructure, because we don't have to punish them with poor infrastructure. Some of the infrastructure has been there since colonial days. You didn't even explain what a bostel is. You need to explain. When I went to the bostel, so the infrastructure has been there since colonial days, which another thing tells me the colonialists really built good infrastructure because it has lasted. But we need good infrastructure. We need water. We need showers. I was saying I'm making an appeal to anybody who's out there. I don't know why, but in my spirit, I really want to fumigate remand. We need to fumigate it. I don't know. We need to clean. It even says that they're supposed to wear their own clothes in remand, which is not true. I saw people in some funny uniforms, but apparently they're supposed to wear, they can wear their own clothes, and then that you can be released from the prison, from the police station on a fine. You don't even have to be bundled in and taken to remand. Anyway, Teresa, I think they wanted to stop with this quote. It said, accelerate actions and policies to increase access to justice for women, and a responsive justice system that advances women's equal rights, opportunities, and participation, because that is what we are doing. And we cannot, honestly, we're a society, if the women, this is for women, if this is how we're treating our women, our mothers, from an African perspective, they could have done wrong, but there's a better way to do this. There's a more human, we can humanize the process, because we need to think of, if it was you in that situation, or if it was your mother, or your sister, or your aunt, or your daughter, how would you want them to be treated? We can correct people, but it's too much. The harm that we do for them is not a good thing. And if you ask me what else can I do, please, can you be praying every day for prisoners? Just pray for them. Pray for them. Extend compassion. Just pray for them on a daily basis. Go and visit them. It's even in the Bible. It's biblical. Go and visit them. Go take them the basics that they need. As we try to get the government to provide them the basics, you have to take the basics. We can't stand here and argue why. We just have to do. We have to meet them where they are. Go. If you have skills, train, teach, mentor, coach. Sometimes it's just a conversation. They just want somebody to know that somebody cares. So start talking, imparting this great wisdom that you have. If you're lonely and you've come to the end of maybe you've worked, your career, and you're in your retirement, good Lord, there's so many lonely people in prison. Go speak to them. Go become a voice for them. Go encourage them. See what you can do, because the other, and I guess we're trying to finish, but the other one is the ICJ, who at least go and try their cases and get people released, because one of the things I pray is for those who are falsely imprisoned. I'll never remember one man who, I think he was even a police officer, but somebody did something to him, or they put on him the crime, and then he was imprisoned, but it's the ICJ that did his case and got him out.
Amazing. And ICJ came on board and supported us.
I can see their name is,
Yeah, to finalize
Ford Foundation
on this report, and Ford Foundation that continues to be a partner and a friend of Clean Start. So yeah, that's incredible, because you can imagine the millions who don't get access to legal representation because they can't afford it. It's expensive. Legal representation is expensive. You can imagine when you've been hit by a legal issue, it becomes very
And even
expensive.
the fines, because I saw somebody was fined 10,000. They're like, where am I going to find 10,000 shillings? For you, it may be easy. For them, they don't have. Another one was 100,000. I was like, how do you find somebody 100,000? Don't even get me started. Anyway, guys, we need to look at the justice system. Congratulations, Clean Start, for this report, because I feel like now this is data. We have data, so we're not operating from a whim or from our emotions. We now have the evidence because they interviewed people in prison, women in prison, and also formerly imprisoned people. They interviewed magistrates and people coming from do you call them the legal justice?
Yes, the criminal justice actors.
Yes, they also talked to them, and we have an amazing report. I wonder if anybody would want it. Can they get it?
Yes, they can get it online on our website, on our social media, but also they could inbox us and we will send them a copy of the same.
Yeah. And it's amazing that I've opened at the page that says, did you have legal representation? And the percentage is 19% yes, 81% no. That's injustice. That's injustice. Any parting statements? Thank you. Well done for doing this.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, Apostle Angie, for using your platform to amplify these voices over and over again. A man sitting at Nairobi Industrial Area has been heard today. A lady sitting at Lodwar Women Prison has been heard today through this. So thank you so very much for that. We just hope that action will be taken when we come to push for the implementation. And I want to quote Benjamin Franklin, who was quoted by Commissioner Jedida Emeritus when she came to launch this as our chief guest, and she quoted Benjamin Franklin where he says, justice will not be served until those who are unaffected are as outraged as those who are affected.
Amen. God bless you. Go out there and do a good job. Engage in justice wherever you are and whatever it takes. And I think I want to say we've been finishing, but don't go to prison. It is a really bad place to go. Don't play around with that. Anyone who is young out there who's listening to me, don't play games, because it's something, I feel like it's a stain, and especially in this country and this continent, that is very hard to get rid of. Don't do it. Listen to your instincts. Don't. Do your best to stay away from that prison gate. Even when I go to visit, I almost collapse when they shut it behind me. I'm like, will they remember? I am not, your heart just, hey, you swallow it when that gate closes behind you. Don't go there. And there are so many things that can take you to prison. Don't. Be very careful. And even for the people who have been wronged by people, seek alternative ways, either mediation or something else, or if you need to be paid back for something, but don't go around tossing people into jail, because those who believe in karma believe in karma. Those who believe in God believe that you must treat people the way that you yourself would want to be treated. So God bless you. Take care. Bye-bye. And remember to partner with Clean Start. I think we'll put different ways that you can partner with them, so that you say, me, I don't know what to do. Yeah, there's a lot to do. So God bless you. Thank you so much, Teresa. And don't give up. Never give up. I know there's so many times on this journey that you want to give up, but don't give up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
By God's grace.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Goodbye.